Hi, it's Eric from Cogniac. We're going to spend the next few minutes walking through the basics of creating your first application. And by the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to create your app, upload your first set of imagery, begin training the basics of Cogniac to classify objects or subjects within your imagery, and begin to understand the basic principles of how the extremely complicated process of convolutional neural networking can be provided very simply and easily through the Cogniac backend. So you'll see I'm logged in now and I have no applications. You have to think of an application as really a basic way of organizing stuff within the Cogniac backend. So this is going to be the repository of your imagery, which can include static images that you upload, or maybe eventually you'll connect a real-time camera to provide streaming imagery into the Cogniac backend. But you have to start with an application. The process is very simple, takes just a few steps to walk through, and by the end of this, we're going to create our first classification application. We'll allow the system to begin classifying different subjects or objects within images that you're importing into the system. So the first thing you'll see here, I got a couple ways to create a new application. Either one does the same thing by clicking on the button or the link here. So let's go ahead and create a new application. You have to create a name for your application, and it wants to be very short and simple, but yet descriptive. So if you're sharing your system with other users, they understand very quickly what this is about. And you'll find that within the Cogniac system, as you begin to become more advanced, you'll be able to share the output of one application as the input to another application. So make it descriptive. For this, we're going to do something pretty easy. We're going to create a classification around different types of light bulbs. And I know that there are many types of light bulbs, but as you'll see, we're going to create 4 basic subjects and allow the system to get trained from me telling it very quickly what different types of light bulbs I want to classify. So we're going to give it a name. We're going to select a classification type, which, as I've been describing, is a way for the system to classify different tags or subjects within the media that you're uploading to it. And we'll kind of talk about that as we go through the app creation process. I'm going to click Next here. The input subjects is really a way to give it a folder name, if you will, a way for the system to receive these images. And then you'll see in just a minute, we'll create output subjects as well. But I'm going to go ahead at the very basic level. I need to have a way to upload lots of different types of light bulb images. So I'm going to be able to take photos and inject these into the input subject. Then it runs through the classification process and begins to provide output of what it thinks it is. So I'm just going to say miscellaneous light bulbs. This could be a camera feed, a live camera feed that was having light bulbs pass in front of it. So I could have, a name called miscellaneous live camera feed. But for this, I'm going to be uploading static images. So let's get started by creating a basic input subject of miscellaneous light bulbs. Now on the output side, this is what you want to train the Cogniac system to detect or to classify. So I'm going to create 4 different basic categories of lights. So we're going to do an LED light. We're going to do an incandescent light. We're going to do a CFL or a compact fluorescent light. And then I'm also, since there's other types beyond these 3, I'm going to create an other category called other bulbs. And this allows it to be if I get a halogen light or a long fluorescent bulb, I don't have to try to force it into something that's not there. I'm going to create an other bulbs output subject. So once I'm done with this, I'm done with the application creation process. All of the other application settings and fine-tuning and details are all kind of handled on the back end. So there's really not that much you need to touch after this point. From now, we're pretty much set to start uploading imagery, training it on what the classification should be, and then just start reaping the benefits of the neural network providing all of the classification of all your imagery. So right now, all I need to do is start uploading images. So you can see from the top part here, I've got a couple of different buckets. I've got the miscellaneous light bulbs, which that's the input subject. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start uploading images. I'm going to start by creating some basics. I've taken a bunch of photos of different types of light bulbs. So I'm going to go ahead and select the files that I want to use. And I've actually got a set of images here. I'm just going to select maybe the first 10 so you can see what happens. It's going to create the preview of the different items. I'm going to go ahead and upload those. It's very quick. It's providing these into the Cogniac system, and then you'll see I'll be able to begin to start training these pretty quickly as well. And then as you start collecting more imagery, you can do this from a mobile app, which we'll have another tutorial on as well, or you can do it directly from the web app here. So once I've got the images in, the next thing I need to start doing is providing feedback on what those objects should be. So the feedback process is an easy way to classify and train the model to understand the different types of objects that you're going to be searching for when you upload imagery. So I've taken the time to upload some more images so there's more that we can look at throughout this process. But now that I've got images uploaded into my input subject of miscellaneous light bulbs, you can see quickly here on the web app, I've got an indication that I've got feedback to give. When you initially create an application and upload imagery, you're going to provide feedback on almost all of the initial images. This is so that it can train the system to detect and classify exactly what subjects you're looking for. As the model becomes more and more accurate, the amount of feedback will drop significantly. The feedback process can be done by multiple users as well on different types of devices. So you can have feedback done on the web app, you can have feedback done on the mobile app. Let's run through how easy it is to do. I've got a couple of different buttons I can click here to provide feedback, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to start presenting you with images, and the kind of first selection is certainly random because it doesn't know yet what a CFL is, what an incandescent is. So you just go through, and I can just select and choose. So I know this is a CFL, and I confirm it. And you go through, this is an incandescent. You go through this process to train the model. Then the model starts to know that as I begin to input images, oh, Eric has trained that this is an incandescent bulb. And it starts to build more confidence the more feedback that it gets. And the more feedback that you give, the more that the model begins to believe that your feedback is correct. And you will notice that sometimes feedback is required multiple times, and that's for validation, to make sure that you didn't click the wrong thing, or just to get confirmation and reach that consensus plan of this is the actual subject you're looking for. Now, if you do make a mistake, if I set this as a CFL light and I confirm it, I can click undo once to go back. If you make a mistake and you've gone too far, I'll show you another way in your output media that you can correct the feedback. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these, and you can see the process is pretty straightforward. Now, you can also do the same thing. I'm going to pause up at the top here and get out so you can see I've got a lower count of feedback now. But then I can also do the exact same thing from the mobile app. So if I were to call up the mobile app now and try to do feedback, you'll see here now 46 items. If I click on that, I can run through the same process. I can click on the pending feedback button and run through the same thing. So I can be providing feedback either on the mobile app or the web app. So I've submitted some more feedback, and I've given the system time to generate an initial model. So you can see now it's showing an F1, which is showing 100%. So it's got a model generated, and now I can start providing more images into the system, and it will start providing probabilities back pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, add media. I'm going to take a live photo here of another CFL, send this through the system, and let's see what happens. Let's see what the percentage that it thinks that being a CFL is. If I come here and I refresh, you can see it's 26%. So as I add more images, right now there's only 39. As I add more images and provide more feedback, the confidence and the probabilities will increase quite quickly. So the feedback process is very simple and very helpful.